Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. My overarching view on the situation with Ole Gunnar Solsjaker at Manchester United. Now I can understand, a lot of Manchester United fans are infuriated with Ole Gunnar Solsjaker because obviously his tactics and that are questionable, and I do admit that we are very tactically inept. So obviously you've got the vast majority of Manchester United fans now demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out in the football club. You have still got certain Manchester United fans like me that are patient and obviously would be willing to give him more time at the football club. But I think despite our bad start to the season, I still believe Manchester United are backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and like I did say, Ed Woodward is still convinced that he can turn things around at the football club. Now I think Manchester United do need to give him more time because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's only been at Manchester United now around 10 months. So obviously he's been at the football club, just under a year. Obviously, we did recommend Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in December of last year, following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came into the club at the first term as interim manager. Obviously, he was the interim manager for 3 months. In that 3-month period, everything went well. The results were good, the performances were good. He was getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations. But since he got the job in March earlier on this year, everything of course has just seemed to have all gone wrong. But I do believe we need to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least a couple more transfer windows, to see who else he can recommend into the football club, and obviously to try and bring players he thinks well, he's going to try and build a team that can win trophies and of course can compete, because you can still quite frankly say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad, because analysing this squad, the majority of it of course is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The majority of these players are actually Jose Mourinho's players. But like I did say, I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in certain aspects in that he has got a lot of faith in his young upcoming players. He did get rid of a lot of the deadwood throughout the course of the summer, and obviously this summer we spent just over £140 million on 3 players, obviously on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire, and we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. So I'm happy in the aspect that during the summer that we did address some of the problematic areas in that we got that experienced centre half in, we also got that right back in, but we didn't address all of the problematic areas, and this is why we need to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least a couple more windows to address all the problematic areas in the squad. But it was obviously going to be extremely difficult for us to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window in that. But like I do keep saying, I think due to our inconsistency, I think everyone needs to take the blame in that. So it's a mixture in that aspect. But as I do keep saying, I think the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board, because obviously the board, I think they are a liability. The board didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough during the summer, as they did actually presume that they would have done. And I think it actually got confirmed at the start of this season of, regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job should be safe for them at least for this season until May, because I think the board realised that they didn't back him enough during the summer, and the board haven't been ruthless enough in the last 3 to 4 windows at least, and analysing our recruitment policy it isn't too good to be quite honest with you. But I think the board do need to assure structural changes at the football club. Whether they can assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. The question is are they going to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the tools and that he does need. Already Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is making plans for the January transfer window to see who he would like to recommend into the football club. I think we are orchestrating on spending another substantial amount in January, but I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is keen on sticking to the policy of recruiting young British players like he did do earlier on in the summer. But for me, Manchester United, of course, do need to give him time, because I think if we get rid of Solskjaer at this present time, or get rid of him, before Christmas, I don't think it's going to solve all the problems at Manchester United. But I think also some of the blame, does stem from certain players on that pitch, because a lot of players this season have obviously been underperforming. You've got to say also, some of the blame does stem from Ed Woodward. So basically, everyone's to blame in my opinion. But obviously so far this season in the league, we're 7 games into into the season. You know, we've only registered, we've only registered 9 points from possible 21, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. And of course, we are sitting 10th in the league, but you know, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. You know, we've only won one of our last 6 games in the Premier League and that. And yeah, but there's games this season that you can pinpoint out that arguably, you know, Manchester United should have won. I think we've had some good games this season, you know. I thought we did well at Wolves away, we should have won that game. I thought, you know, at Southampton away, we should have arguably won that. We should have won, we should have won arguably against Arsenal on Monday. You know, we should have won against Crystal Palace at home earlier on in the season. But yeah, you know, I think, you know, we do seem to be creating chances in certain games, but we're just not being clinical enough in front of goal. You know, we just don't seem to have that, clinical element. And I think, you know, so far this season is replicating what I saw last season. And what I mean in that aspect is that, you know, I haven't really seen much improvements this season. But, you know, if this bad run of form, you know, does continue to persist, I think we could enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season, because, you know, last season was bad enough. You know, we finished 6th, obviously, you know, failed to qualify for the Champions League, and I did say that was one of the main reasons as well. That was one of the main reasons, you know, why we didn't have a competitive summer transfer window, because obviously when you're not in Champions League football, obviously, you know, it's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level. And I did say during the summer that a lot of players, you know, did have element of concerns about joining the football club. But I did initially say anyway, you know, Ole Gunnar Solsjaker has got to exceed expectations at Manchester United. He's got to exceed expectations and that. And like I did initially say, you know, I said our expectations this season obviously will be to get into that top 4. So obviously Manchester United can get qualification back into the Champions League and that. And obviously the way things are going at the moment, you know, obviously, you know, we're not going to get in that top 4. We're not even going to finish in the top 7, you know, where things are going at the moment. But I did initially say our aspirations, you know, will be that top 4 in the next couple of seasons, because obviously analysing our squad at the moment, you know, it isn't good enough, you know, to win the league. But I think it's definitely, you know, good enough for a top 4 finish. But like I did say, you know, we have got big ambitions for the future, and obviously, you know, those ambitions are to obviously get back to being competitive, obviously get back to winning trophies and that. And obviously, this is something that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, does want to bring back to the football club. You know, he also wants to bring, you know, that fear factor back to the club. You know, he wants to bring that winning mentality back to the football club. But we know none of them have been there, you know, since the Alex Ferguson era. But I did say, reflect on the amount of money that's been invested into the football club in the last 6 or 7 years. Also reflects on the history of this club. You know, we should be much more of a commanding position, you know, than we're in now. And analysing our squad, I think it is a pretty decent squad. I think it's actually a really good squad, to be honest with you, but they're just not gelling and they're not obviously, you know, working as a team. And like I did say, always spending big on players and always, you know, getting them Galactico players doesn't always guarantee you success, and that's been proven with Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years or so. But I've got to admit, you know, the game yesterday against AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League, obviously it was our second game of the Europa League and all that. I've got to say that is the worst performance I've seen of the season. You know, we didn't have a single shot on target. I think we didn't have a single shot on target. You know, I think that's for the first time in our history. I think in the competition, and that is an absolute embarrassment. You know, AZ Alkmaar, you know, could have won that game yesterday. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer made a lot of alterations in the squad, and that obviously quite a lot of young players played, some experienced players and that played. But it was an absolute embarrassment, and you know, we didn't have a shot on target. Like I say, we struggled to keep the ball. You know, we couldn't string any passes and that together, and it was an absolute, you know, embarrassment. I've got to say, it is the worst performance of the season. That obviously made things worse with Jesse Lingard, of course, coming off in stoppage time, you know, with a hamstring problem, so he could miss the Newcastle game on Sunday. But I think, you know, also something else that could have gone against us, you know, during the summer, don't forget, you know, obviously, you know, we didn't recommend a new director of footballing, and I did initially say at the beginning of the summer, you know, that's one of the structural changes, you know, that we do need with the football club, is getting a new director of footballing. And I did say it would be beneficial, you know, to recommend someone in, obviously, who knows, you know, the culture of the club, someone who, of course, who's got that experience. Obviously, someone that, would be reliable, to oversee our transfer business and that. And there was a lot of speculation the other week saying that Ed Woodward, of course, was still looking to recommend a new director of football into the football club. And you could arguably say maybe if we'd, got that director of football in early on in the summer, then maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, would have been back to more in that aspect. But, I don't want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be sacked as Manchester United manager, as I do keep saying. I do keep mentioning to you that I hope his tenure, can become successful at Manchester United, but I just don't think, he's got the stature, to get us in that commanding position. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if he's to be sacked by the football club, obviously, he will be the fourth manager, to be sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. Solskjaer is now our fourth permanent manager. And I said, we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers, even though, we have sacked 3 managers already since the Alex Ferguson era. We've obviously had different managers with different philosophies, but for me, I still think he needs to be given more time at the football club. But obviously now in this generation, obviously managers don't get the time that obviously they would like, and that obviously back in the old generation, managers obviously did get a lot more time. Obviously reflecting back under the Alex Ferguson era, don't forget he didn't win out in his first 4 years when he first got recommended into the football club from Aberdeen back in 1985, 1986. But obviously, like I said, the boards were nowhere near as ruthless as then. But we had 20 odd years of success under Alex Ferguson. I did say, regardless of who our manager is, we're never going to replicate what we did under Ferguson. No one's going to ever have as long as tenure as Alex Ferguson did. And no one's going to ever, follow Alex Ferguson's legacy, like I said, despite, who our current manager is in that. And obviously Solskjaer wants to bring the Fergie days back, but obviously I have got huge doubts about that. But, if Solskjaer is to be sacked by the football club, and I think he probably will be gone by Christmas if I'm going to be quite honest with you, who should replace him at the football club? Now, we know there's been a lot of reports stemming from the Italian press quite recently, saying that reportedly we have made Massimiliano Allegri, the former Juventus manager, as our primary candidate to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the football club. Now, obviously, like I said, he's a former Juventus manager. Obviously, he served around 5 years with Juventus. Obviously, Massimiliano Allegri obviously won the majority of his silverware with Juventus. Obviously, led them to 2 Champions League finals, and actually, so far has spent the entirety of his managerial career in Italy. Also spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy. Did Massimiliano Allegri. So, do you think he would be the right candidate for Manchester United to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? And I think there was rumours recently saying that he wanted to come into the Manchester United job, to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Could possibly the club reignite their interest in Mauricio Pochettino? Because obviously, remember rightly, before we recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer into the football club and that, and obviously after Jose Mourinho's sacking, there was quite a few managers linked with the managerial role at Manchester United, and obviously Pochettino was the primary candidate back then. Obviously there was talks about Zinedine Zidane coming in, but obviously our preference was Solskjaer over Pochettino and Zinedine Zidane and that, because obviously Solskjaer was the cheaper solution. Obviously Solskjaer does know where the football club inside out and that. And obviously at the time we went in for Pochettino, I think he didn't have obviously any intentions of leaving Tottenham. Don't forget Daniel Levy is a hard negotiator, but I think a lot of Man United fans, a lot neutrals and that believe maybe Pochettino would succeed at Man United. He would suit the strappings and that at the football club, despite the fact he's not won out yet. Pochettino's not won anything yet as manager. He's obviously now into his 6th season with Tottenham, so he's managed them for 5 years. Obviously he's well Premier League proven in that, and Pochettino is good at developing young players, but at the time we was in for him, I think it did say we had to pay compensation from between 35 to 40 million pounds. But if like I said, if Pochettino is to be the next manager sacked in the Premier League and that, maybe he would grasp the Manchester United job, if he did get that opportunity in that. But I did actually say earlier on this summer, I think the only way, well, not early on summer, I think at the time before we got Solskjaer in, I think the only way Pochettino or Zinedine Zidane would have come in is if there had been assured a substantial amount to spend and that at the football club. But I believe during the summer that Solskjaer did get a substantial amount to spend, because there was reports emerged out early on in the summer that he was going to be given from between 200 to 250 million pounds to spend. Solskjaer confirmed that he wanted to bring at least 5 new additions to the squad, but we ended up recommending three, new players in. So I still believe Manchester United need at least 3 world-class signings, maybe even more, if we obviously, want to get back to where we want to be, and obviously if we want to be back up there competing, and of course, winning silverware and that. I still think, we need at least 3 world-class signings, and despite the fact a lot of players have obviously now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe these are more problematic players in the football club. As I said, Italy's been a popular destination for the vast majority of our players that have obviously left this summer. Obviously, we have loaned quite a few players out, but it was a shame that obviously we didn't recruit with players like Fernando Herrera. I think it was a mistake from the football club, letting Fernando Herrera go, because you could arguably say he was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era, and that he had 5 good years at Man United. He had some, bad spells and that. I think he had, like some bad spells. So I'd say he had around 3.5, 4 good years out of the 5 years, when he was here. But I was infuriated that obviously, we let Ander Herrera, go on free transfer. But statistically, last season, the majority of the games we won under Herrera, of course, was playing. So that just indicates how much of an impact he did make in that midfield. Romelu Lukaku, now obviously I was actually happy, the money we did generate from his departure, because basically, we did recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago and that. And obviously I don't know how he's doing now with Inter Milan, because I haven't really watched him at Inter Milan. Obviously the reason, Dad, what you doing?
Does that fancy walk up Rambler?
No.
No?
No.
I'm going to go to think Barbers.
No.
Fancy walks at Barbers?
No.
Need some air, fresh air. Do you want the
No.
air? Do you good, Charlie? There's no good sign here all the time. It's fucking... You need fresh air.
With Romelu Lukaku and that, like I said, but I was happy when we but I said the reason that he left the football club, because obviously he initially lost his place and that in the team did Lukaku. Obviously, like I said, Sanchez went to Inter Milan as well, so obviously they're both reuniting in that aspect and that. But obviously, following the dismissal of Sanchez and Romelu Lukaku, a lot of people now believe we are short of options in that attacking line, despite the fact that Sanchez is on loan with Inter Milan. Don't forget the club are still paying the majority of his wages. I still believe we're paying him around 300 grand a week. Obviously, like I said, Darmian, he went to Italy, he went to Parma. Obviously, we let him go for just over £1 million. Sorry, Chris Smalling went out on loan to Roma. He was a long-serving player at the football club with Smalling. He served around 9 years at Manchester United. But despite the fact that Smalling has left, we have still got 6 centre-backs in the team. Obviously, Valencia left at the end of last season. That's quite a lot of players have now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. So in January, we need to focus about more of the incomings, and we need to focus on getting rid of more players in my own opinion. But like I said, he has got a lot of faith in his young players, this Solskjaer, and the majority of the young upcoming players this season have been given their chances. And I don't think all the young the young upcoming players all will become a fruition at Manchester United and that. I think there may be only a couple that do become a success at the football club. I have got element of concerns about certain young upcoming players, but we still need to give them time because they're developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. But I definitely think that Mason Greenwood is going to become a huge success at the football club. In the games that Mason Greenwood has played in this season, he has done really well, to be fair to him. And Solskjaer recently gave his overarching view on Mason Greenwood, and he did say it's obviously impossible to leave him out of the squad when he's scoring goals, and obviously if he keeps consistency up, Solskjaer has assured that Mason Greenwood will get more minutes under his belt. But he's 18 years of age, just recently turned 18, and I think by the time he's in his early 20s, I think he can be a world-class centre forward for Manchester United. Mason Greenwood obviously has not yet started a game in the Premier League from the start. He's made 5 substitute appearances in the Premier League so far this season. I actually believe that maybe he could start on Sunday against Newcastle. Well, I hope he can anywhere. But yeah, he did score in the games he did start against FC Astana and Rochdale. So he did come up with that moment of quality. Mason Greenwood, don't forget, only made his full debut for the football club at the end of last season in the 2-0 home defeat to Cardiff. But yeah, and as I do keep saying, I think he is a much better solution than Marcus Rashford is Mason Greenwood at this present time anywhere, because analysing Marcus Rashford's performances so far this season, he has been way below par, to be quite honest with you, and he hasn't performed to the standards as I expected Marcus Rashford to do. I thought he did well throughout pre-season, Rashford, and he did well in the first game against Chelsea, and that scored 2 goals, but I think prior to that he's been inconsistent so far this season. Don't forget he's recently just been out of a groin injury. Don't forget, towards the back end of last season, his performances were really, really poor. But there again, Rashford sustained quite a few injuries towards the back end of last season. A lot of Man United fans, believe that he's overrated. I still think he's a long-term solution for the football club. I think we still need to give him time, because Rashford is only 21 years of age, and obviously I think he's enjoying now a really difficult time at Manchester United, in comparison to his time when obviously he first broke into the senior squad, obviously when he scored on his debut against Midtjylland, also scored twice on his Premier League debut against Arsenal. Also, if you can remember rightly, he also scored in his first Manchester derby, did Rashford. But Rashford and Martial and that, they can both play in the same positions, they can both, so they are compatible in that aspect because they can both play centrally. They can both play out wide. But I think when Martial does regain full fitness, I think for the majority of this season, Martial will see himself. He'll see himself probably on the flank and that. But yeah, still give Marcus Rashford time, because we have seen Rashford at his best as a Man United player. And when he's at his best, he can receive the ball well. He can get them runs in behind. He seems to sometimes have that finishing asset, so he needs to be given time. And like I said, we have got still quite a few injuries in the squad. We've still got quite a few injuries in that, and I don't think any of these players, well, the vast majority of them that are injured now, I don't think, they're going to regain full fitness for the game on Sunday against Newcastle at St James's Park. Obviously, Martial's out with a thigh injury. He's missed the last 6 games for Manchester United in all competitions as Anthony Martial. I like Anthony Martial a lot. I think, actually, before he had sustained his current injury, I think he enjoyed a good start to the season. But I think he should be now close to regaining full fitness, Martial. Martial is now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. Martial has scored over 50 goals for the club in all competitions since his arrival from Monaco back in 2015. Don't forget, Martial did sign a new 5-year deal in January. And don't forget, Martial has been given that number 9 shirt, so he's playing more central this season because he seems to be more effective in that central position. Even though Martial predominantly, plays out wide on the left, you see the best of him when he's playing centrally. But Martial has been a big miss in that, because he seems to, when he seemed to play early on this season, he seemed to add, inspiration in that. Inspiration, in that attacking third end of the pitch and that, and we seem to be more clinical, like earlier on in the season. That we were clinical throughout pre-season. We was clinical against Chelsea in that. To be quite fair, but yeah, it's a big difference when Martial's not in the team. And Luke Shaw, he's obviously missed also the last 6 games for Man United in all competitions. That is, he's obviously been out with a hamstring injury. He won't be available for Sunday, I don't think. Solsjaker did confirm prior to the Arsenal game that actually Luke Shaw had returned back to training allegedly. Luke Shaw's a very imperative player, and I think analysing the majority of his Man United career, I think he has been mainly consistent. He's had some rough patches. Luke Shaw did have a bad spell under Jose Mourinho and sustained quite a few injuries, but I think prior to that he's had a really, really good career. He won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. But yeah, we know the difference he makes on that left hand side. Due to Luke Shaw's absence, quite a few players have been playing in his position and that actually obviously can play as a left back, but obviously Luke Shaw's the first choice left back. But it has been mainly Ashley Young in the league games that's been full fulfilling Luke Shaw's role, even though Young is predominantly a right back. Young's obviously not our first choice right back now anyway, because obviously with the arrival of Wan-Bissaka, obviously quite a few times Rojo's been playing at the left back position, because don't forget Rojo can play various positions in that back line and that, but he's predominantly a centre back. But when we do play him, we play him at left back, Rojo. Don't forget, Brandon Williams played at left back yesterday against Alkmaar. He's another young upcoming player. Don't forget also Tuan Zebe played at left back on Monday against Arsenal. But yeah, Luke Shaw shouldn't be far away now from regaining full fitness. Like I said, Wan-Bissaka, he's been out with illness, so he's missed the last 2 games for Man United. So he missed the game yesterday against Alkmaar. He also missed the 1-1 draw with Arsenal, and that was actually his first league game he has missed this season as Wan-Bissaka. But don't forget, it was only earlier on in this season that Wan-Bissaka had been out with a back injury. That obviously prevented him from making his England senior debut, because obviously due to the injury he had to withdraw from the England squad. And again, Wan-Bissaka, is a very, very imperative player. I do believe, he's been our most consistent signing. To be quite fair, I think all the games this season, or the vast majority of them, if not all of them, I think he's been mainly consistent. His distribution's been good. He's showed that ability, to play out from the back. And I think, like I said, if he keeps the consistency up, his valuation, will persistently grow. So probably, won't be playing him on Sunday. Wan-Bissaka, he's been out with tonsillitis. Mason Greenwood, only recently, recovered from tonsillitis, don't forget. We know that obviously Fosu Mensah is still out. Obviously, he's another one of the young upcoming players, is Fosu Mensah. Obviously, he returned to the club earlier on in the summer because obviously he'd been on loan with Fulham last season, where I think he actually sustained this knee injury, and he has been out with injury over quite some time. I think also Solsjaker confirmed that Fosu Mensah had returned back to training. Eric Bay, of course, we know that Eric Bay is a long-term absence. Obviously, Eric Bay he's out, I think, until the end of December or the new year with a knee injury that obviously he had sustained throughout pre-season. I think maybe in January next summer, or maybe in the future, I think Man United probably would be open to selling Eric Bay, even though he's actually an imperative player. And obviously, when he's fully fit, he has got a great potential in that, and he holds his line well. But I think reflecting on the amount of injuries he's sustained as a Manchester United player, I think it's affected his career. Eric Bay now is into his 4th season as a Manchester United player, and obviously, if we were open to selling him, we'd obviously probably look to try and at least recoup the initial £30 million that we did pay for him from Villarreal back in 2016 and that. Phil Jones, obviously don't forget he's out with injury, so he missed the game yesterday against AZ Alkmaar. He sustained a knock, I think, in the win against Rochdale in the Carabao Cup and that. I think Phil Jones is one of the problematic players at the club that I think we need to consider getting rid of him in January or next summer. Jones has been at Manchester United 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Obviously he signed a new long-term contract last season. I think it was a bad mistake from the football club, giving Jones a new long-term contract. But yeah, he's obviously been here since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously the likes of Jones and Rojo and all that, obviously they're going to find it hard to get opportunities in the league games, but in the cup games in the Europa League and that, obviously they will get more opportunities and more minutes under their belt. But I think Jones is no longer good enough now to represent Man United, and if we can get rid of him in January next summer, or in the future, we can cash in for him because he signed a new long-term contract last season. Paul Pogba, like I said, he's also a doubt for Sunday. Don't forget Paul Pogba missed the game yesterday against AZ Alkmaar. Pogba obviously, I think he's been further tested, with the injury. He's got obviously sustained an injury obviously in the 1-1 draw with Southampton early on in the season, so basically he's suffered, it's the recurrence of his injury basically, and he's getting further assessed. So I think the players we've got injured now, I think the majority of them should be back for the Liverpool game, because obviously after the Newcastle game it is the international break and that. But with Paul Pogba, like I said, he has now got a foot injury. It has been revealed obviously around 4 or 5 weeks ago. Paul Pogba had to withdraw from the France squad with the ankle injury and that, and he would have been infuriated in that aspect, because we do know that Paul Pogba does like to represent France. Obviously won the World Cup with France last summer. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows how much of an imperative player that Paul Pogba is, and I think a lot of a lot of us were happy, you know, that we convinced Paul Pogba to remain at the football club at least for this summer. But I still think Paul Pogba is orchestrating on, you know, leaving the club either in January. If he doesn't leave in January, I think, you know, he will leave next summer. You know, don't forget, you know, recent reports have revealed that, you know, Paul Pogba has actually been demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from the football club, you know, if he is, you know, to renew his contract at Manchester United. 600 grand a week, you know, equates to around what, 30 million pounds a year. I just can't see, you know, Manchester United, you know, willing, you know, to, you know, meet his wage demands. I just can't see it happening, even though we probably have got the financial power to meet those wage demands, because obviously we're a massive club with massive revenues and that, and obviously as it stands now, you know, we have got players on big contracts. But Paul Pogba in his current deal at the moment, you know, he's on around 290 grand a week. So in that aspect, he's still one of the highest paid players of the football club. And Pogba has still got 2 years left in his contract at Manchester United, you know, with an option, you know, to extend it by a further year. You know, Paul Pogba, analysing the majority of his Manchester United career, you know, since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016, you know, I think is, you know, being mainly inconsistent, obviously in comparison to his time at Juventus, because, you know, to be fair, he did have 4 good years in Turin with Juventus and that. Obviously, there was Paul Pogba, you know, was subjected to intense speculation, you know, during the summer. He was subjected to intense speculation and that. Obviously, quite a lot of clubs were in for him, but, you know, the main architect was Real Madrid. You know, Real Madrid, you know, were relentlessly linked with him. But I did say, you know, flexing on the substantial amount we put on Pogba during the summer, that was a stumbling block of him making his move to Madrid, because, you know, we demanded that, wanted around 180 million pounds for him during the summer, so we was ruthless, you know, if in regards to Pogba, we was ruthless over him, because we know how much of an imperative player he is. Real Madrid were not willing to pay 180 million pounds, even though financially, you know, they would have been able to afford that, but I just don't think they was willing to meet that and that. But don't forget, Real Madrid spent a substantial amount during the summer. You know, they spent around, £300 million on 5 players. You know, they got some good players in as well, did Madrid, but they're still obviously, you know, looking to, you know, obviously, you know, revamp their squad. They did sell some players, did Real Madrid, so they did generate, you know, some money back. But, you know, Paul Pogba's preference is Real Madrid and that, because he did say at the beginning of the summer and that, and early on this summer, that he classified Real Madrid as one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he did say at some point in his career, you know, he does want to play for Real Madrid. But obviously, Zinedine Zidane, you know, did identify, you know, Paul Pogba as his number one priority target. But definitely Real Madrid, I should believe, will reignite their interest in January. But don't forget, Real Madrid also had Christian Eriksen on their current agenda, and actually Real Madrid, you know, could still go in for Christian Eriksen in January and that. And I think Christian Eriksen's preference during the summer, you know, was actually to make a move to Real Madrid. But Real Madrid's preference is Pogba over Eriksen. But if Paul Pogba is to renew his contract at Man United, then I think, you know, Real Madrid's alternative then would be, you know, to go in for Christian Eriksen at the end of the season, you know, when his current contract does expire, you know, with Tottenham and that. But yeah, Paul Pogba confirmed he wanted to leave the football club anyway at the beginning of the summer. You know, he did say, you know, he was seeking for a new challenge. You know, he publicly admitted, you know, that he wanted to leave the football club. And I still believe now he wants to leave Manchester United. But, you know, we paid £89 million for Pogba. So obviously, you know, he is our most expensive signing. I think also PSG inquired about getting him, you know, during the summer. PSG were tentatively linked to him. It allegedly said that Paul Pogba had agreed a deadline day move to PSG, but his move to PSG never materialised, you know, due to the Neymar saga. And also, I think, you know, Barcelona had inquired about, you know, getting Paul Pogba and that. But like I did say, it hasn't only been this summer. You know, he's been, you know, subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Obviously, there was a lot of talks about him leaving last summer, obviously back under the Jose Mourinho era, because obviously, you know, Paul Pogba, you know, had a difficult time under Mourinho, and I think Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho left the football club. We have seen the best of Paul Pogba, you know, as a Manchester United player. You know, we do mainly see the best of him, you know, when he's freed up. Paul Pogba's still got a lot of years ahead of him. You know, he's only 26 years of age, so still got a lot of development in him. And I actually, you know, do believe that obviously he's not going to spend the entirety of his career in Manchester United anywhere. Even if he was, you know, to be here next season, he will not spend the entirety of his career, you know, with the football club. But Solsjaker is still very adamant that Paul Pogba, you know, is not for sale in January. he's not for sale in January and that. But yeah, with our fail to land a midfielder in, especially, I'm glad, you know, we convinced Paul Pogba to stay at the football club for them at least this summer and that. But yeah, definitely for me, more players do need to leave the football club anywhere. But I think, you know, Ole Gunnar Solsjaker has identified for positions, you know, where he thinks, you know, Man United, well, where he's looking to strengthen up, that is, you know. I think his priority now is to recommend the striker in. Like I said, we need to recruit a replacement for Lukaku. Obviously, one of the priority areas is a midfielder. We need at least one midfielder in. You know, maybe some people believe, you know, we need a fullback in. I think, don't forget, from the majority of the summer as well, we was in search for a right winner. But like I said, you know, we was in. You know, I think, you know, the players, you know, we was in for, you know, during the summer, you know, we probably, you know, will reignite our interest in some of them in January. You know, maybe we'll leave some until next summer. Yeah, but like I did say, a lot of money has been spent at Manchester United. You know, around what, £800 million has been spent, you know, since the Alex Ferguson era, you know, in all the managerial eras on players and that. So we've spent just under £1 billion, I think, in the last, what, 6 or 7 years. And that's obviously, you know, disregarding, you know, what was spent under Alex Ferguson. You know, if you want to take into account what was spent under Ferguson, obviously, you know, it's way over £1 billion that the football club has spent. And like I've already mentioned to you guys that, you know, obviously, you know, it didn't work out in the other managerial eras. Like I said, under Mourinho, you know, I think, you know, we recommended Jose Mourinho in too late. You know, you could arguably say, if we'd have recommended Jose Mourinho in, you know, after Ferguson's retirement and that, you know, and it was a mistake from Alex Ferguson, you know, when he retired, you know, recommended David Moyes into the job, because obviously, you know, they're both Scottish and obviously they got on really, really well. And I think this is the main factor reason why Ferguson recommended David Moyes in and that. But obviously, at the time we got David Moyes in, obviously at the time I wasn't doing my videos then, I had an element of concerns about him. I know he wasn't going to succeed as a Manchester United manager, because obviously Moyes, obviously, you know, never dealt with top players. Obviously, you know, never had that proven pedigree of, obviously, you know, winning in silverware. Actually had a really long tenure with Everton before he came to Man United at that time, you know. But Moyes, you know, is a manager, you know, to have the shortest tenure with the football club since the Alex Ferguson era. But if we'd have got Mourinho in instead of Moyes, then maybe, you know, it would have been a different sort of scenario now with Manchester United. But I say we recommended him in too late. I thought even when we did get Mourinho in, I thought we were going to do really, really well in that, because obviously back in the day, you know, Mourinho was one of the best managers in the world, because obviously he's got that proven pedigree. You know, he won stuff, you know, everywhere and that he'd been. I think he won the Champions League, was it with Real Madrid or was it with Porto, if I can remember rightly. You know, he won a couple of, you know, Premier Leagues with Chelsea and that. You know, don't forget Mourinho won the Europa League and League Cup. What? Aren't you? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 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 And he won the Europa League and League Cup in his first season there with Manchester United. And he had a 2.5-year tenure at the football club. And Mourinho is the second longest serving manager at Man United, you know, since the Alex Ferguson era and that. Well, it's actually the longest, you know, he's the longest manager, you know, since the Alex Ferguson era, should I say, but the second overall. But it didn't work out under Mourinho because obviously, you know, he had bad disputes with the board, you know, he had bad disputes with the top players. You know, the board weren't, you know, backing the signings that he wanted to recommend into the football club last summer. You know, the philosophy wasn't right under Mourinho, and it was, you know, part of the bus football under Jose Mourinho and that, and the style of play, you know, just wasn't right. And that's, you know, that's why it didn't work out under him. But he spent a substantial amount. He spent just under £400 million on 11 players, did Mourinho. Under Louis van Gaal, he didn't have the right sort of philosophy in that. This is why it didn't work out under him. You know, he brought a lot of players in, did you know, Louis van Gaal. I think, obviously, now the vast majority of them have now left Manchester United. Obviously, you know, there's still some of them here now that Solskjaer's inheriting. But, yes. And all that, yeah, and just didn't basically not have the right philosophy for the football club of Louis van Gaal. But look at the players he brought into the club. You know, he brought likes of Daley Blinden. You know, he brought Schneidlin in, Sebastian Schweinsteiger. You know, Memphis Depay. He enjoyed a difficult time with Man United. You know, obviously we brought Angel Di Maria in, Falcao in. But yeah, he did bring a lot of players in. You know, did Louis van Gaal, but just didn't work out under him. I think he served just over a year at Man United, if I'm right. And then yeah, so it hasn't obviously worked out in these managerial tenures and that. And I'm actually unhappy with our style of play under the Ole Gunnar Solsjaker era and that. The brand of football, just doesn't seem to be right. But I don't think Solskjaer's going to last at Manchester United anywhere. But, I know we've had a really, really bad start to the season, and, we've only won 2 league games so far this season out, out of 7. We've won 4 games in all competitions and that. And it's nowhere near good enough to our standards and that. But I still think there is actually certain players that have played well, even though we've enjoyed a bad start to the season. I think the players we brought in during the summer have all done really, really well. I think McTominay started this season really, really well. I think Fred's done well in a couple of games this season as well. I'll credit him for that. I don't know if Fred or McTominay are the long-term solutions for Man United. I don't know if they can keep the consistency up and that, but they have done quite well. Like I said, I think Tuan Zebe, he's done well in the games he's played in this season. I think Tuan Zebe is another young upcoming player that can definitely become a success at Manchester United, without a shadow of a doubt. So he's done really, really well. I think Lindelof's mainly done well this season. Lindelof. He's had a bad couple of games, but I think prior to that he's mainly done really, really well, and I think he's blended in alongside Harry Maguire in our backline. Really, really well. So I think he's done well. Like I said, I think Ashley Young's had the odd good game this season. Obviously Young's done okay. I think in 1 or 2 games, should I say anywhere. But I think the vast majority of the players, haven't obviously been good enough in that, so they've got to obviously step up to the plate. But our home form's been poor, our away form's been poor. We haven't won away from home since the PSG game last season. Everything is just poor, basically. Even our record against the top 6 sides is poor, especially last season. It was, really, really poor. So there is a lot of things, to improve at the football club. And Newcastle Manchester United preview, should be coming up later on today, or it will be tomorrow. It actually, probably will be later on today. I'm going to watch Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference, and obviously going to, interpret, some of the things he said, and obviously, say it on a video on that. But yeah, obviously we need to see a better performance against Newcastle on Sunday. This should be our first away win this season, Newcastle, because Newcastle obviously struggling. They're sitting 19th in the league. They've only registered 5 points so far from 7 games. The last game they got thrashed by Leicester 5-0. Don't forget Newcastle. I don't think Steve Bruce will last, in my opinion. Obviously, he isn't a really good manager. He's a great player. When actually, we had him back in the day, he was a good player for Man United. But I don't think he's good enough for a manager. He's managed a lot of clubs, I think, as Steve Bruce, or quite a few. And Newcastle, did get rid of Rafa Benitez, back in June. Well, actually, Rafa Benitez, did resign back in June as Newcastle manager. But yeah, Man United, of course, have got to win this game. But I don't think we're going to get the top 4 this season. I just honestly don't think we're going to do it. But like I said, we need to keep the faith in Solskjaer. I know there's a lot of Man United fans that are so angry with him and that. But I think if we get rid of him, it's not going to change. It's not going to solve all the problems at the football club, because you can't just blame the manager. And that's it, there's nothing much really more to say. Another thing I'm happy about is that, we did address the contract renewals. That was very, very good. We did address the contract renewals and that. I'm happy that we give certain players new contracts, but I'm disappointed, with some of the other players we could give contracts to. There was some players that we shouldn't have given contracts to. What I mean is that Jones shouldn't have got a new long-term contract. Young shouldn't have signed a new 1-year extension last season. People say we shouldn't have given McTominay a new long-term contract. Smalling did initially sign a new long-term contract, but obviously now he's on loan with Roma. But yeah, so we did actually, give players, new contracts. Quite a few of them, within their last years of their deals. So I'm happy Martial signed a new deal. I'm actually delighted that Rashford signed a new deal, but he's had a bad start to this season. obviously, I think Pereira, didn't he sign a new deal earlier on in the summer? I'm really, really happy that David De Gea signed a new long-term contract. He's obviously now the highest paid goalkeeper in the world on 375 grand a week. I'm actually happy that Lindelof signed a new long-term contract as well. Really, really happy about that. Yeah, so like I said, yeah, so it will be coming up later on this evening, or later on today if it isn't this evening, you know, the Newcastle Man United preview and all that, and the build up to the game. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider it, subscribe, as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.